This is a demonstration of Wirecast. This is a demonstration of Wirecast. This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
Welcome everybody to Capital Ideas. How many first timers do we have today? Oh, great. I'm Jeff Samsono. I'm going to be your host today. I've also got Capital Ideas team members Sam Brooks. We're checking in, and Jason.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast. This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
Company's founders was on our panel just a few months ago. Every purchase of water, coffee, and tea from the Earth Group helps fund the UN World Food
This
Program.
is a demonstration of Wirecast.
On them at earthgroup.org. So what we're going to do is I'm going to talk to these guys, throw a few questions at them for about 20 minutes. Then we'll go to you for a few minutes if you've got any questions. And we are going to record this for a podcast, so please help me welcome our panelists with a great round of applause. And welcome to Capital Ideas, based on the idea that entrepreneurs have learned a lot along the way and always want to learn more. Today we are talking about building
This
the best
is a demonstration
team. Let me
of
introduce our
Wirecast.
panelists. To my left is Jen Salamandic from Kickpoint, a partner at Kickpoint, which is a digital marketing agency that focuses on helping clients be better versions of themselves. Kickpoint was founded in 2012, has nearly tripled in size since January of this year. And for Jen, building the current team has largely been about finding roles for great people instead of finding people for certain roles, and also about developing a culture that supports individuals, the oddities, the talents, and career goals that every person has. Please welcome Jen.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
To her left is Susan Burtick of Legends Limousine. Now, Susan owns Legends, a family-run limousine company that offers specialized transportation with a priority on outstanding customer service. Founded in 2004, Susan started with one Lincoln Town Car and now is one of the larger limousine companies in Edmonton, has a fleet of 7 vehicles. And she's also a past nominee for the Alberta Women Entrepreneurs Celebration of Achievement Awards. Please welcome Susan. And to her left is Paul Mark of Transcend Coffee. Now, he came to Edmonton in 1996 to attend the U of A's law school and ended up practicing Aboriginal law until 2003. And then he left the practice and worked as a consultant on the Stoney First Nation. Between 2003 and 2006, he self-educated in the area of specialty coffee, founding Transcend in 2006. It's grown from sort of a mom and pop shop of 1 to a medium-sized business of 40 employees at 3 cafes and they've got a business model focused on quality, relationships, and sustainability. And they're online. They've got online sales to retail customers across Canada and wholesalers
This
right
is a
across the country.
demonstration of
Please welcome Paul.
Wirecast.
All right, well, let's jump right in here and start with some of the first hires that you guys did, and we'll start with Jen and kind of work our way down. Well, Jen, let's just even talk about this year. Has been a lot of hiring at Kickpoint.
Yeah, there has. The person we hired first this year was our art director, who came from another agency, so lots of experience there. And she really changed the way we think about how we promote ourselves. And I talked to you about how we always try and hire people who are smarter than Dana
This is
and
a
I.
demonstration of Wirecast.
That was really important when we brought Emma on, because we had in the past had some promotional items that had lots of nice pictures on them, but didn't have our company name or our web address. And so when you bring someone in who can think about those things and sort of make you take a step back before you make some terrible decisions, that's really important.
And Susan, your company sort of snowballed over the years, so probably more hiring as you've gone along.
Yes, we started, actually our first were 2 hires because we added 2
This
to the
is a
fleet at the time.
demonstration of
And
Wirecast.
with us, it has to be customer focused, as well as you have to know how to drive a very big car or truck. And also you have to do the city licensing. With us, it's important that you have the city licensing. But we were fortunate because the other 2 came from other companies, so they already had a little bit of gist on what we needed done.
And Paul, you sort of started with one, but was that a great one? Was that a key one that you first started
This
with?
is a demonstration of Wirecast.
Well, actually, the funny thing was I wasn't probably the best employee. I worked hard because I didn't have a choice, but I didn't pay myself, so that wasn't, that's not the smartest thing either. I didn't really know a lot about coffee when I first got into it. The classic entrepreneur of jumping into something without really having a clue of what you're doing and just going for it. So I quickly hired someone that knew a little bit more about coffee than I did, at least on the retail side of it, in terms of making espresso and having some idea of how to serve a quality
This
product.
is a demonstration of Wirecast.
We'll start back now, working this way with Paul. So what's the most important thing or something important that you've learned about hiring the right people?
Yeah, well, hiring the right people, I think, it's definitely been a process of learning over the last 9 years, and I've made a tremendous number of mistakes along the way, where I think we were focused more, or I was definitely focused more in the early stages on a skill set. We tended to hire coffee nerds, guys that, because we were so quality focused, we really focused on, well, we need to have people that really love coffee, and that wasn't completely wrong, but the problem is that they would be so focused on the coffee that they actually ignored the people that came through the door, the customers. So it's taken a while to figure out that we're actually in a hospitality business, and what you can teach people about the product that you sell and how to achieve quality with that product. What you can't teach is good customer service skills, or it's more difficult that way. So we've really shifted our focus over the last number of years to hiring people that are geared towards hospitality, customer service, know how to smile and engage, and we teach them how to make good coffee.
Yeah, I'm hearing the heads nodding as you're talking about teaching customer service versus the skill set. And Susan, your head is nodding to that as well.
Yes, with us, the important thing that we've learned, anybody can drive a vehicle. That was the easy part. Anybody can go get a chauffeur's permit, which with our transportation industry, you have to have the permit to drive. We just can't pick somebody off the street. They have to be able to get that City of Edmonton license. But the most important thing that we've learned is that you have to love what you're doing. You have to want to serve people. We are not just chauffeurs, we're butlers as well. And you have to have that passion. If you just come because you make good money with us, then it's the wrong job for you. It is good money. I'm not saying that. The money is great, but you gotta want to be with us, and you gotta want to see our vision and believe in us and go where we want to go, and believe in that, and believe that you become like a family member. We have a small group, so we treat our employees like family, and we need somebody outside of the box. It's not just a job. It's got to be your love. It's got to be your passion. You got to believe in it. It's got to be what you want to do. If you don't love it, then you're not going to be very successful.
And I think, Jen, ending with you, we're going to sort of continue this theme because, as I sort of said in your introduction, you've been about finding great people
Yeah.
instead of trying to find people to fill
This
roles.
is a
Yeah, when you put
demonstration
out a
of
job posting and
Wirecast.
someone sends you a resume and they have their skills listed there, and then you bring them in for an interview, and they're going to tell you what they think you want to hear based on that job posting. So we'd much rather have someone come to us first and then go meet with them, have coffee with them a couple times, bring them in to meet the rest of the team, and see what they want to do with the rest of their lives, because that matters a lot more than what someone says in a response to a job ad.
And how have you found that process of sort of hearing from great people or knowing about a great person who might be looking or might
This
have some
is a
skill sets and
demonstration
then
of
trying to
Wirecast.
find or creating a job for them?
It's a process, a learning process. It's time consuming, I think, because we meet with a lot of people and we email back and forth with a lot of people. And sometimes it goes nowhere because, if someone sends you an email and you write back and then their response isn't really in keeping with what you need, or they don't have that long-term career goal, or they don't want to be a lifelong learner, we're probably going to cut the process there. But yeah, those can be some long coffees when you're meeting with someone that you end up hiring.
This is a
Paul,
demonstration
we'll start
of
back with you and work our
Wirecast.
way down again. You mentioned mistakes, so let's talk about mistakes. What are some of the hiring mistakes that have taught you something about how to bring people in?
Yeah, well, frankly, one of the things that I've learned about myself over the last 9 years is, as a classic entrepreneur, I'm not very good at running a business, which seems like an oxymoron. But the reality is, I think when entrepreneurs start something, typically they fail to grasp
This
the reality
is a
that
demonstration
there's
of
multiple
Wirecast.
roles within a business, and you can't be all those roles. And I'm actually not that good at hiring people. We tend to hire people that are like ourselves because we see value in that, and that's not usually good because you don't need more of you around, actually. And I tended to hire people based on sort of gut decisions. I made very impulsive decisions, right? Like most of my hires early on were absolutely impulsive. And I was like, yeah, this is a great idea, and didn't really think through the whole process and didn't have any clarity about what that role was or
This
what they
is
were
a
supposed to really be
demonstration
doing.
of Wirecast.
Expectations weren't really clearly aligned, and so that works for a little while, and then after a little bit, that starts to fall apart because people actually appreciate knowing what's expected of them and knowing how you want to evaluate them, and they want to have some idea of where they're going. And so we've changed now to really, number one, I'm not the guy hiring. I don't hire any people anymore. I have an ops director now who sort of manages it. So we've really, on the front line level, we actually have, with baristas that come in or people that want to work in the cafes,
This
they get
is a
an initial
demonstration
interview
of
by a manager.
Wirecast.
And then if there's a second interview, then our ops director is involved. And it seems like overkill, but so there's about probably 2.5 hours worth of interviewing, and they have to align themselves to our core values. And then there's a whole bunch of training that goes involved with that. But we've really learned that the sort of cliche but not very often followed, be quick to fire and slow to hire, is absolutely important because having someone that fits the culture is more important than anything. You can teach
This
skills, you
is a
can't
demonstration
teach
of Wirecast.
that fitting aspect of it. And I think, I don't take credit for this, but Transcend is this odd hospitality industry where I'd say we have about 95% retention, which is absolutely unheard of within the hospitality industry. So we're obviously doing something right. And again, I don't take credit for that, but.
Yeah, that's really interesting stuff. I mean, sort of bouncing off what Jen was talking about, a much longer process. And I know you've sort of also in our previous conversations talked about, sort of
This
on that
is a
slow to hire, quick
demonstration
to
of
fire. Like,
Wirecast.
you have to make sure that people are in the right place.
Yeah, if someone wants to leave, they should leave. And if you want them to leave, they should leave. Like it has to happen quickly a lot of the time. One of the most recent reasons we let someone go is because they decided that digital marketing wasn't something that they really cared about. Well, yeah, you can work an administrative role for us, but you still have to care about what we're doing. So, no, thank you, and that was it.
Yeah.
And it's better that way.
This is a
And Susan,
demonstration
a lot
of
of nods here about
Wirecast.
sort of learning those mistakes and figuring out how to get your team right.
Sure, when you start, because similar to Paul, we haven't been in that. We were always in a company that was just my husband and myself. So once you start hiring, you, first of all, of course, you say, can you drive the vehicle? And then you assume that they're you're a limousine company, you know that you have to deal with people, you assume that they would be customer oriented and that they would know to open the door and to do this and that. And
This is a
then along the way, and
demonstration
again,
of
hard knocks.
Wirecast.
And most of it I have to credit to my husband, Leaview. He's very hands-on. He takes them out. He spends about a good 2 hours with them, showing them the sites, what they should do and how to do it and what is expected of them. And we also have put a manual in place as well, which we didn't at the beginning, because like what Paul has said, you do need a structure. People do need to know what is expected of them. If you
This is
assume
a
that they're going to do
demonstration of
just like you do,
Wirecast.
you're going to fail, because not everybody they can't read your mind. You have to put it out, and you have to put it in paper, or at least give them some training so that they know what to expect. But with hires, it's very important that people have a passion and believe in what they're doing. If you're hiring them for the money or for them to work, and they're just working for the money, your business will not succeed, because they're not there
This
for you.
is a demonstration
They're there
of
for their
Wirecast.
paycheck, and of course they are there to get paid, but they have to have a passion about what they do.
Susan, I'll start with you on this one, just more zeroing in on this kind of discussion. Is it at the interview stage? Is it a training stage? Is it all along the way when someone's working for you? How are you gauging kind of their skills and their performance in that realm against their fit, their personality?
Jeff, I'm gonna come clean with everybody. With us, when you talk to me on the phone, and you
This
ask
is a
me,
demonstration
well, how many
of
vehicles do you have?
Wirecast.
What's this and what's that? And you know that they haven't been even on your website. They don't know nothing about you or your company or what you have in there. You're thinking, how interested are you? And then, of course, how much do you pay? And what are the tips like? And it's just kind of like red flag, red flag, red flag. It's like, uh-oh, we're in trouble here. So once we get past that phone stage and they come in and meet us, and we see how they present themselves, that pretty well says everything.
This
And
is a
then if they
demonstration
talk
of
too much,
Wirecast.
then it's like, oh boy, you're a know-it-all. How can I teach somebody who knows everything? So if you're listening, but you're engaging, but you're questioning that, well, how does this work? How does that work? How is this? How's that? What do you do? Then you know they've got an interest, and you're more on the lines of being hired with us.
And Paul, that sort of sounds a bit similar to kind of the lesson I think you learned in terms of the kind of people you're looking to bring in.
Yeah, and frankly, it's
This
really
is a
difficult
demonstration of
you get a
Wirecast.
sense, right, in terms of what a person is like from an interview, but it's pretty limited. And I think what we've done and we have a very long sort of process once you've been hired. The training process, right? So if you start working for Transcend as a cafe worker, it'll take you about 3 months before you're even allowed to be pulling espresso. We probably invest about $1,000 in training per individual that comes to the door. And so when you start looking at the number of dollars you spend on training,
This
then
is
you
a
go, okay, well,
demonstration of Wirecast.
so we don't keep doing that over and over. Then we work real hard on retention and culture. But I think it comes down to building an environment where people can thrive and flourish, and then over that 3-month period where you typically have probationary periods, regardless, then that's the time you have to make a decision. And I think oftentimes as employers, we get into the trap of going, oh, well, we've hired this person, we've spent all this time and energy into them, we have to figure out a way to make it work. And if it's not working, it's far better
This
for
is a
both
demonstration of
parties to just say, you know
Wirecast.
what, this isn't working. You need to go find something that's going to be more fulfilling for you, and we need to have someone else in this role, because what I've experienced personally is having people, we call them C players, who are, they may be effective, but they're not buying into the culture. And they become a bit of a cancer in the organization, and they start to be resented by everybody because the rest of the employees look around and go, why is that person still here? I don't understand why they're here. And it gets really confusing for the rest of your
This
employees,
is a
because as
demonstration
an
of
organization, you're
Wirecast.
being confusing because you're telling one thing but doing another. And I think that's the challenge, is reinforcing that culture and hope and demonstrating that that's what's most important. And when you're inconsistent with that, that creates problems.
And Jen, at Kickpoint, how are you guys gauging kind of that fit? Obviously, the long coffees, but then even when someone's in the job.
Yeah, when someone's in the job, when we're sitting around having lunch together, we're just hanging out, and someone begins a story with, this one time when I was driving my snowplow,
This is
and
a
just like
demonstration
all the
of Wirecast.
different roles that people have had before they came to us. And the fact that they want to share those and they want to share what they learned on their other jobs with the rest of the team, that's important to see. We try to talk to everyone on the team at least once every 6 weeks. And one of the questions we always ask them is, what would the company be crazy not to do in the next quarter? And those are really interesting conversations. And if someone can come to that and have a great idea, any kind of an idea, that's always really great to see, as far as them always thinking about how they can make the company and themselves better.
This
So
is a
on top of
demonstration
that,
of
what are the ways
Wirecast.
that you guys are kind of making sure people get what the culture is and get what the kind of place is about as on an ongoing basis?
So when we first start meeting with someone, they sort of get to help us write their job description based on what they want to learn and what their long-term career goals are. And we always, usually in December, we sit down with people and say, well, what do you want to learn next year? There's these conferences that we thought might be of interest to you. Maybe there's some that we've overlooked. Tell us what you want. Tell us what you need next year to make this a better place for you to work and a
This
better
is
place
a
in
demonstration
general
of
for everyone.
Wirecast.
And sort of same question kind of down the line now, Susan, when people are there, how are you ensuring that they do know what the culture is and that you're kind of keeping on top of the fits?
It's pretty simple with us because we need good customer service. We need you not to be lazy. You have to get out and be interactive with the customer. It's one of the things that make us successful. The other
This
thing
is a
is
demonstration
you
of
must wear a
Wirecast.
suit. You must be dressed appropriately. This is not a job you can come to the way Tony's dressed today, handsome as he is. I would fire you on the spot. You'd be sent home. I don't have to fire. I just have to send you home. And, like that. And the one thing I want to put in there, and it doesn't pertain to this question, but the previous question, but this is important, guys. This is a little secret. When you make a phone call, you do not know who you're talking to on the other end.
This is a
And
demonstration
there are a
of
lot of times we
Wirecast.
pass over people because they don't know that I'm the owner of Legends Limousine. I'm doing the hiring. They think I'm just some secretary or some, call center that's taking their call and I'm going to pass it on. And I'll tell you the truth, a lot of people applying, a lot of them, they're very condescending, they're very demanding, they're very ignorant, they're rude. And of course, after I hang up with them, I say, oh yeah, I'll put send the resume, I'll put it on Tony's desk. And Tony, AKA
This
Live
is
You.
a demonstration of Wirecast.
It's like Nixnay, forget it. It's not being printed out, it's not being put on the desk. You'll never hear from me again because you just talk to the owner and you just talk to me like I'm nobody. And you don't know who's on that other line. Be respectful.
And Paul, I mean, sort of everyone has sort of talked about all these kind of checks that you guys have learned along the way to put in really early. But I would guess at Transcend, there's also quite a lot of maintaining what the culture is.
Yeah, it's funny because for a long time, and again, I think
This
it's
is a
the
demonstration
interesting
of
aspect growth.
Wirecast.
When it was small, when Transcend was small, it was all located on, just off 99th at Argyle, and the roastery was there, and we had the one location. It was a small team, and everyone sort of got to interact with me a lot, and that sort of, even though I wasn't very good at the communication of sort of what I wanted and my vision and the culture, it sort of oozed out of me, and so the people that were working with me got to sort of experience it. As we grew, it became much more difficult because all of a sudden you don't have the day-to-day contact anymore. And I
This
think as an
is a
organization
demonstration
grows, what
of
becomes critical
Wirecast.
is that the organization is very clear about it's called what it wants for a culture. It understands. We went through a process of defining what our core values were, defining what our purpose was, and writing it down. And it seemed redundant and BHAGs, big, hairy, audacious goals and all this stuff, which you go, but if you don't do it, if you don't actually write it down and publish it and share it with your employees, they don't know. And then once you've done that, then what we do is quarterly town hall meetings where we bring, because it's different. We have the sort of a full-time
This
contingent
is a
that are,
demonstration of
working as
Wirecast.
career jobs, and then we have baristas who are with us, 2 to 5 years as they go through school, typically at university. But I think it's the one thing that I've learned is that you can never communicate too much. I'm not bad at doing this kind of communication. I suck at communicating what's going on in here. I process things internally, and then And when you don't share what's going on in here, then you make assumptions about what your
This
what your
is a
workforce
demonstration
knows
of
or doesn't know. And I
Wirecast.
think what I've learned over the last 9 years is you can never over communicate ever. And while you would think you may be becoming redundant and boring and nauseating with what you're trying to say, it's never too much.
I'm going to jump back into another question, but we're going to come to you guys in a minute. So if you've got a question that you're thinking of for the entire panel or one particular entrepreneur up here, Sam will be by in just a minute with the microphone, and you can ask the question, and then he'll grab the microphone back and run off to the next
This
person's
is a
question.
demonstration
so we'll come out
of
here for a question or
Wirecast.
two in just a minute. We'll start back here with Jen. I wanted to talk about maybe how you determined not to post jobs, that you basically have kind of an open email on your website.
Yeah, we put a little bit about our culture and flexible work schedule and education opportunities and the places that you can grow at our company on our Work Here page. And that made a big difference for us in the type of applications we were getting. Because those things are really important
This
to people,
is
and
a
I think that some
demonstration
places,
of
when you don't mention
Wirecast.
that, a person can assume that they're going to be in another job where if their kid's sick, their parent has a fall, or their car breaks down, that you're going to be sick to your stomach thinking about calling in and asking for time off. And I want to make it really clear to people that that's not what you're getting when you apply to work with us. And a lot of places say that they have flexible work schedules and education opportunities, and we try to prove that. And that's why we have a conference page on our site as well that talks about people's experiences
This
at conferences
is a
that they've gone to
demonstration of
and their reviews of them.
Wirecast.
So we want to be really clear in that. It's really important.
And Susan, one question for you here while people are thinking of their own. You've talked about customer service a lot, and I know for you guys at Legends that you really want to hear what the customers think, and that helps determine who's driving.
Yes, we, fortunately, in our 15 years of business, we have customers that they have used us for 15
This
years.
is a demonstration
And I'm
of
talking about
Wirecast.
like 50%. We're not talking about just a couple of customers. I have customers religiously every year. They book me for Christmas and so on and so forth. And they'll request a certain driver. However, how can I put this diplomatically? We have female drivers. We have different ethnic orientations of staff. It's a hard thing to say. I'm just going to spit out and say it. There are customers that
This
only
is a
want a
demonstration of
specific, like they
Wirecast.
don't want a female driver. And I can use this term, Vince McMahon from the WWF. I don't know if everybody knows him. He owns that, that big multi thing. He does not want a female driver. And we have to respect that. And why he doesn't want a female driver is because he's been, I guess, he's a multi-billionaire, and I'm sorry, but a woman would have cost. I'm not saying that a man wouldn't, but it's like that. So we do try to fit, if
This
it's a
is a
fun
demonstration
graduation
of
group, we try to
Wirecast.
fit a younger demographic. Or if we have, for example, 80th birthday, we want somebody a little bit more serious and much more formal, I guess you could say.
Yeah, okay. So if everyone's had a minute to think of some questions, Sam's got a microphone. So put your hand up if you've got a question, and he can come running over. And anybody has a question for any of the panelists or a particular one at the back here, and then we'll have another one up here, Sam. Yep, go ahead.
This is a
I'm just
demonstration
curious,
of
what are your
Wirecast.
thoughts about hiring friends or acquaintances or even clients of your business?
Let's all answer this. We'll start with Jen.
I'll take that one. So Emma, our art director, is over there, and we're married, and so that was a long decision for both of us. I mean, because we have an open office, so you work in an open office with the person that you go home with every night. That you have to really think about that, and certain relationships and certain
This is a
businesses that wouldn't work in.
demonstration of
But for ours,
Wirecast.
where it's sort of become kind of like a family business, it's just Dana and I. We've known each other for a long time, and Dana's, good friends with Emma too. So it was a big decision, but it's working. As far as hiring a friend, I don't know about that. That would be a tougher decision because, I don't know, you don't know a person as well as you know someone that you're married to, I suppose.
Susan?
Very simple with us. It doesn't matter if, for example, yes, Levy and I are also married.
This is a
and we work
demonstration
together,
of Wirecast.
But our expectations of friends or family, and we have hired both, it's very simple. We expect you to give the customer 100%. My son, for example, he works for us, Theodore, and he dresses in a suit. He would never show up without a suit. He opens that door, he helps the bride in and out. I expect from him what I would expect from somebody else. And would I let him go? In a heartbeat. Because our business
This is a
about
demonstration of
you guys.
Wirecast.
So if we're not pleasing you guys, we failed.
And Paul?
Yeah, like we've got, you know, my wife doesn't work in the business. She does her own consulting. We've got people working for us. We have actually a young married couple that moved from Saskatoon to work for Transcend, and they came as a couple, and it's been working out really well with that. I think, you know, it definitely gets messier with friendship for sure. I think the risk that you run is that if
This
something goes
is a
south, you don't have a friend
demonstration of
anymore.
Wirecast.
So I think you have to sort of acknowledge that and go, it's unlikely that the friendship will survive if the relationship at work for some reason falls apart. So I just think it comes down to really clear sort of the real clear articulation of expectations. And that's a thing I think that I've learned the most, that is the most important thing that I've learned in the last while is, like, for example, I'm someone who, you know, I hated law for a lot of reasons.
This
You know,
is a
just the reams of
demonstration
paper. But
of
one of the things that really
Wirecast.
drove me crazy about the law was sort of the rigidity of the practice of law and the boundaries and the sort of the rules. And I'm just not a rule follower very often. And you sort of make this assumption that, okay, well then everyone's like me, and the reality is most people aren't. And so, but that's what I mean when it comes to expectations that are clear and articulated, is that if you don't spend the time to work through that with people, regardless of whether they're friends or not, it just
This
creates
is a
confusion.
demonstration
And that's
of
where problems
Wirecast.
start to develop. So I think, yeah, sure, hire a friend if they're qualified and you think you can work together, but you better, you know, you got to be clear about what's going on. Otherwise, it'll end up in a mess, guaranteed.
Kind of just know what you're getting into.
Yeah.
And we'll go one more question over here.
Hello, my name is Ada. I'm curious to hear from all three of you. Especially when you start as a small business, the capital is probably low. The salary, the benefits may be limited to offer to the employees, but we still want employees to be passionate
This
about the
is a
business, wanting to
demonstration
love
of
the job.
Wirecast.
So what do you offer to attract and retain people, especially in the first couple of years?
We'll go in first time. Paul,
Sure.
we'll work our way this way.
Yeah, well, you know, and it's great. It's a great question. You know, like I said, as the first employee of Transcend, I didn't get paid, which is number one, stupid. Don't do that if you know people that are starting a business. Tell them not to do that, because it's better to pay yourself and then give it all back to the business, because at least when you go to the bank to try to get money, which they won't give you very willingly anyway, you at least have a T4
This
to
is a
back up the fact that you
demonstration
actually
of
are earning something.
Wirecast.
So yeah, but obviously in the hospitality industry, it's a bit more difficult. You know, we're not the career side of Transcend. I've always worked on the basis of generosity. We're not big business. We're a very small business. But I think you couple. What I've learned is money only goes so far, right? Money only matters so far, and then what matters more is meaning, purpose, an opportunity to grow, right? And so I find that even with our
This
with
is
our
a
cafe
demonstration
staff
of
is that
Wirecast.
there's enough about Transcend that means something to the people that work for us, where making money isn't the only thing anymore, right? Like they could work at another hospitality venue where there's a sale of alcohol and there's lots more tips and they'd make a whole lot more money, but for whatever reason, there's this idea of purpose and meaning and believing in what you do. And I think I hear a lot of negativity in and around this next generation of you know, people coming through. Oh, they're entitled. They don't.
This
you know,
is
but
a
what I found is that
demonstration of Wirecast.
when you can give them something that ties into their passion, they believe in what they're doing. They're tremendous workers, tremendous employees. And so I think it comes down to understanding what it is that motivates people, and money only goes so far, right? And then after that, there's a whole lot of other things that mean a lot more.
And so Susan, same question.
We're not a full-time business. We're part-time, evening and part-times only. We do not.
This
we're not
is a
on demand.
demonstration
So
of
that means you have to
Wirecast.
pre-book. So our guys are hired on the weekend and evening. So they are looking for part-time work. But to answer your question, we, like Paul, we started with not paying ourselves. And we did not go to the banks. I went to Alberta Women Entrepreneurs, and they helped boost my business. And luckily I could do that. Sorry guys, it's not for you guys, it's for the women only. Woo! But
This is
to
a
keep them
demonstration of
motivated,
Wirecast.
you have to be motivated. If you're looking for a job, and you say, oh, I can do that, and oh, I can do that with one hand tied behind my back, I'm just gonna take it to make the money. Well, then you're wrong. You have to look for a company that's going to fit your needs and you will fit into. And when you meet with the people, of course, money, let's face it, money is important. I mean, that's what pays your bills and that's what gets you forward. But I'm talking about us
This
with the
is a
transportation.
demonstration of
part-time.
Wirecast.
It's a passion business. You want to be passionate about it. You want to help people. And it's fun, guys. It's so much fun. We do birthdays, anniversaries, weddings. Wow. You know, all the fun stuff we do. So when you're looking to work with Legends Limousine, you're looking to have a good time, work with a fantastic team, make some fantastic pocket money, and that's what it's about with us. So, sorry, we're not too big corporate.
Don't worry, Susan's sticking around
This
if anybody
is a
has been won over
demonstration
to
of
want to drive with
Wirecast.
her. We can talk to her after.
Good.
And Jen, the same question.
Yeah, I think, when we were first starting, and even now, we're a competitive company salary-wise, certainly not at the top of the bracket for people starting out, but it's really expensive to learn digital marketing. There's a lot of tools that you need to learn, and there's a lot of training that you need to be able to do it well, and you get to do that for free when you start working for us, so that I think that's attractive to people.
This is
And
a
also we're
demonstration
fairly
of
transparent
Wirecast.
about Dana and I knowing that the people who work for us are always going to be, the most expensive line. They're always going to be, and they should be, because we're a service-based company, and that's just how it's going to work. And Dana and I pay ourselves, and we always have, but we always pay ourselves the least. And so we're going to be, for a long time, probably that lowest salary, because we're investing in the company and we're still growing. And you got to hire people that are smarter than you, and that's really important to us for growth, is spending more on the
This is a
people that are working with
demonstration
us.
of Wirecast.
Really excellent ideas and kind of ideas on how to build up that business. Great questions, so thanks very much. I think that'll be it for our time. So please help me in thanking our panelists today. Jen Salamandic is a partner at Kickpoint, a digital marketing agency that focuses on helping clients be better versions of themselves. Kickpoint, founded in 2012, and this year has nearly tripled in size. More on them at kickpoint.ca. Susan Abertic founded
This
Legends
is a
Limousine, a family-owned
demonstration of
limousine company that
Wirecast.
offers specialized transportation with a priority on outstanding customer service. And they just added a Lincoln Navigator and a couple more to their fleet. Details on them at legendslimousine.ca. And as mentioned earlier, she's also a past nominee for the Alberta Women Entrepreneurs Celebration of Achievement Awards. And Paul Mark from Transcend Coffee, who was a lawyer, but taught himself about specialty coffee and founded Transcend in 2006. It's now 3 stores, 40 employees, online and a wholesale business. Details on them at transcendcoffee.ca. And Paul's
This
also a
is a
founding part of the
demonstration
Ritchie
of
Market, which is a new
Wirecast.
multi-use building full of local businesses like Transcend Coffee and Acme Meat. Acme, an owner, is a former panelist here. And that's revitalizing a corner of the Ritchie neighborhood. Details on that at ritchiemarket.ca. So we're going to hang up here for another minute and move over to door prizes. And I was going to invite you, but Teresa Closton, Vice President Business of Business and Agriculture at ATB, is already here to say a few words, and then we'll do door prizes. Teresa.
Thank you very much. Your kind assistant here snuck me in on you, Jeff. So
This is a
thanks everyone.
demonstration
Just a
of
few words
Wirecast.
from ATB. First of all, thank you very much for spending part of your day with us. I think some fantastic insights about building great teams. And thank you for your generosity, the panelists, in sharing those ideas. So Paul said you can't over communicate. So there were 2 or 3 things that I thought you know, for me, I take that away. One being, you can't over communicate. It's very hard for people to see inside your head. And, you know, you might feel that you're being repetitive, but being able to really establish that clear vision is
This is
powerful.
a demonstration
The second
of
one was, I think,
Wirecast.
voiced by all three of you, that you have such a clear idea of what you really want and what your business really is. You know, that you're in the hospitality business, that you're in the personal care or pampering business, that you're in, you know, helping people make more of themselves. That's really important, and you happen to do it through coffee and transportation and digital marketing, and I think that's really valuable. So knowing what your company is at its root, I think, will help you find those people who fit. And that third concept, I think that's a great way of looking at
This
things,
is a
is
demonstration
to
of
find great people
Wirecast.
and build roles around them. I think lots of us, even in large companies like ATB, we're really afraid when we have a vacancy and we worry about filling those roles. And it's at the heart of it, it's because we don't want our customers to be unattended. But slow to hire and quick to fire is a great comment. So thank you so much for all of that. So some door prizes, yeah?
Yeah, I'll let everyone know first what we've got. We've got 5 today. So if you're picked, come on up. You'll pick one of them, and then you'll get your picture taken. And we've got a pair of tickets to the Edmonton-Calgary
This
CFL
is a
playoff game,
demonstration
thanks to
of
the Edmonton
Wirecast.
Journal. Speaker Point's got analytics for breakfast this Friday, Christmas Carol at the Citadel Theatre, and 2 different pairs of tickets to Procore Canada. So let's do the first name.
And let's be excited about these names to pronounce. Okay, give it my best. Mahala Konla, Program Manager from Adaptability.
Oh, congratulations. Well, thanks to the Edmonton Journal for the pair of tickets to this Sunday's CFL Western Final and Edmonton-Calgary playoff game for the chance
This is
to
a
play in the Grey
demonstration
Cup.
of
Don't know if that will
Wirecast.
go first, but we'll see, I guess. The next winners come on up.
Fantastic, great.
Name number 2.
I'm looking for like a Bob Smith or something. Oh, not to be. Arlen Pochink? Pochnik? My
Congratulations.
apologies. You're going to give me an
Figured it
education
out.
when you get up here, right?
Demonstration of Wirecast.
Speaker Point's got a new analytics for breakfast this Friday morning. It's a great way to find out how web analytics and stats can help your business. Details on that at speakerpoint.com. Speaker is spelled S-P-I-E-K-E-R. And if you end up picking that up, you'll see me for breakfast on Friday as well.
Lana Walsh from
This
Alberta
is a
Women
demonstration
Entrepreneurs.
of Wirecast.
Great stuff, hey, Lana. Thanks again to the
we'll
Edmonton
get this
Journal
right if
for,
it comes
we've
me.
got
They're
2
gonna
pairs
take
of
a little
tickets to Procore Canada's presentation of I See Fire with their first time with the Edmonton Swiss Men's Choir. This is happening Sunday at the All Saints Anglican Cathedral. Details on that at procoro.ab.ca.
This is a demonstration
Bob
of Wirecast.
Menchaca? Hey, Bob.
Hey, right near the front, congrats. The Citadel Theatre and Edmonton Journal also gave us a pair of tickets to their annual stage tradition, A Christmas Carol, always a favorite this time of year. Details on the show at citadeltheatre.com. And last one.
Last one. Jeanette Stead.
This is
Hi,
a
Jeanette.
demonstration
Hey,
of Wirecast.
congratulations, Jeanette. And this is probably a good time to mention that ATB also gives each of our panelists a $25 ATB Cares card, as always, and they can use that to donate to any charity that they like.
Very, very good. Thank you.
Oh, I think you're all done.
We're all
Excellent.
done. I have just a couple of tokens
Yeah.
for our panelists. So thank you again for being here. And we have for you a $25
This is a
card for
demonstration
ATB
of
Cares
Wirecast.
to please make a donation to a charity of your choice. So thank you again.
Thanks, Teresa. Teresa Clausens, Vice President of Business and Agriculture at ATB. Other than the events, we also do a weekly question. The new one from Wellington Holbrook, Executive Vice President of ATB Business, is how do you build a team to last? I love when everything just lines up. You can answer that question today. Now you've got so many more ideas at capitalideasedmonton.com, and you can get published next week. And there's a link to the question in your newsletter.
This
In
is a
today's Edmonton
demonstration
Journal,
of
we've got plenty of great
Wirecast.
answers to the question posed by Capital Ideas member Crystal Pume of Crystal Pume Photography about how to stand out and get attention for your business. You can see that at edmontonjournal.com/capitalideas. We're back next month, Wednesday, December 16th, and we're going to be talking about how do you keep customers coming back for more. You can already sign up for that one at capitalideasyeg46.eventbrite.com. Well, thanks very much for coming to our 45th Capital Ideas. The recap with the full audio of this and all the websites
This
and
is
links
a
that have been mentioned is going to be
demonstration
up
of
soon.
Wirecast.
So have a great afternoon and an even better rest of your week. Thanks, everyone.